And here we are, it's the big race, it's the World Final for 2022 for SSCN. The cars are already gridded up, and we're just about to get under starters orders. We've got a full complement of 20 cars on the grid, a few reserves just waiting on the infield, who unfortunately haven't quite made it, but that's the way it goes. Right, so we're just about ready to go, we're under the starter. It's green. Who's first away? It's pole sitter 147 Mark Foster with Owen Anderson sitting in behind him, Ant Dewhurst up there. And them three seem to have just got a little bit of distance. Bumper's going to go in first bend. In fact, it doesn't quite as Mark runs wide. Quite a clever move really by Mark there. He's rattled the fence a little bit, but he's survived the onslaught of the first bend. Bumper's going again, and it's Ant Dewhurst who's now taking the lead. It looks to be a group of about 6 cars, all the superstars all together. Bumper goes in, and it's Kenny Pruden who moves through, but Mark Foster's back up the inside and back into the lead. I think this is going to be one of those races where the change of lead is on every single corner. As it stands, it's 147 Mark Foster, 294 is Owen Anderson, 80 Ant Dewhurst running in third. Bumper goes in from Owen, and it's Ant Dewhurst who's back in front again. So it's 80 Ant Dewhurst, 147 Mark Foster. Third place is 192 Kenny Pruden. Fourth place 542 Andy Burrows. He's made some time up with Owen Foster. But Andy's made an absolute flyer there. Great driving from Andy, and he's now up to third. Bumper goes in EM, and Kenny Pruden tries to tag Mark Foster, and he gets a little tickle on him, but it wasn't enough. Mark won the F2 World Final last week. That's a bigger hit there. Mark rattles the fence, and there's big changes, and look who's coming. 391 Davey Rodder, defending champion from row 4. His wing's looking a little bit sorry for itself. He must have had a bit of a lively start, but he's there, and Stuart Price has suddenly appeared as well. Wow, this is pretty good going, and as they go under the starter again, it's Ant Dewhurst back in front. Every corner the lead's changing. Stuart Price again with a hard hit, and Stuart's got the inside line for the next corner, but they're moving them wide again, and this time it's 147. I think Craig Banwell 128. He's come from about row 9, and he's up there with them now. They're trading places again. But at the moment, oh, and there's a bit of a pile up with a couple of tangled there. I think Evan Foster was one of them. Bumper goes in again hard. I think there's a bit of a bounce off the wall as well, and suddenly Mark Foster 147's made a little bit of a break. Ant Dewhurst decided he's taking no prisoners, and he's moved through to second place, moving David Rodder out of the way. So races just starting to get a little bit spread out, and it's 147 Mark Foster, 80 Ant Dewhurst, 391 is David Rodder. Fourth place is 192 Kenny Pruden, running fifth still. It's a very strong drive from Andy Burrows. Craig Banwell running sixth. Owen Anderson recovering now in seventh, and he gets the bumper in on Craig, and following Owen through is his brother Daniel. Craig might just get one back in there, and yes he does, he moves him back out of the way. And these are just for the minor places now out front. It's Mark Foster who'll probably be getting into traffic shortly. In fact, he's starting to lap a few, and he's just managed to put the first lap car between them, and the first lap car for him is Logan Bruce. Next one on him will be 47, and that's Eddie Collins. Still quite a good battle going on for second place with Ant Dewhurst and David Rodder, and while they're fighting, Kenny Pruden's got back onto them, and it could be a three-way fight for second place quite soon. Some of these back markers are going just the same pace as the race leaders, and so this grid's going to get rather mixed up here, I think, very, very quickly. Laps are going through fairly fast, but still quite a few to go yet, so anything could happen as they go over. In fact, there's 11 laps to go, so we're just over halfway, and the race seems to have started to settle down a little bit now, and the hit's not quite as hard at the moment. Everybody's found their space and just settled into it a little bit. We'll just have to see as they get through traffic whether anything changed, but Mark's looking quite comfortable up front now and still going through as he dabs up the inside of number 60 Les Cotton with a nice little move, and he's very, very smooth there. So I think the main fight's probably still for second place. It is there, and Ant Dewhurst's doing all he can to hold David Rodder off, and they're still moving through pretty quickly. If Mark hits trouble, I'm sure Ant and David will be right on them. There's about 3/4 of a second of a gap between them, so it's not an awful lot on this track. It only needs for a little bit of a tangle for Mark to get caught up with a few back markers. In fact, there's nobody between Mark and second and third now. In fact, they're definitely closing in. The gap is coming down here. Mark's going to have to be really careful as he gets into the traffic. Ant Dewhurst is really going for this, and he's shifting everything in his way to try and get back in touch. Mark's still up there though, and he's starting to struggle a little bit as he's catching Ben Homewood, and I think Joe Nichols as well. Mark's managed to get underneath Joe there as we sit with Ant Dewhurst on his bumper, watching them as they fly through. There's a couple of the back markers then just being quite respectful. Ben Ormwood gets away, out of the way a little bit, and as he does, Dave Rudder sees that as an opportunity and dives up the inside to nick second place briefly from Ant Dewhurst. But the laps have suddenly ticked down, banging goes the bumper again while this battle's going on. We're only 4 to go. I can't believe it's gone so quick. And Mark's just managed to get a little bit of a gap again now as they go under the starter. Now it's 3 to go. Battle's still on for second place, but David Rodder now has moved clear. So it's 3 to go. It's 147. 391, 80, 192. It's them 4 are well clear of everybody else. I think you can forget about the other ones now. Mark ticks another lap off the sheet. There's only 2 to go. His lap times are pretty consistent as well. He's in the 0.6s, but as these laps are ticking down, there's no cars now between Mark and David. It's going to be do or die for David, but on this track, as they go into the final lap, there's always a chance of a last bender. It's just that sort of track. Can come from a long way back, and Mark will be really wary of this here in his mirrors, and we'll just have to see. No, in fact, it's safe enough. David's taking a nice quiet line around that one, and we have a new world champion, 147, Mark Foster. Congratulations. Great world final as well. Some very, very tough racing there. David Rodder, 391 defending champion, not quite this year, was pretty unlucky, and I think there'll be 1 or 2 further down the grid, but I've had some hard luck stories in that one as well. It was a damn good world final though, and I think a credit to everybody who took part in it. I think everybody should be home now, so we'll end the race. Okay, we'll have a look at the final results then for the world final. So in first place, and the new gold roof, is 147 Mark Foster. In second is 391 David Rodder. Third is 80 Ant Dewhurst. In fourth place is 192, that's Kenny Pruden. In fifth is 294 Owen Anderson. In sixth place 42 Andy Burrows. Seventh 44 Daniel Anderson. In eighth place is 107 Evan Foster. In ninth is 168 Stuart Price. In 10th place is 128, and that's Craig Banwell. 11th was 242, and that's Joe Nichols. In 12th was 155 Ben Homewood. Coming up in 13th was 61 Logan Bruce. In 14th was 190 Phil Brown. In 15th was 88 Pete Stanford. 16th was 60 Les Cotton. 17th 492 Ashley Anderson. In 18th was 74 Alec Nicholson. In 19th was 47, and that's Eddie Collins. And in 20th place was 387, and that's Stuart Menzies.